Hello there fellow humans and welcome to this video, and today we're gonna have an interesting topic right here, and that is about how Wargaming is actively killing World of Tanks Blitz. It's a big topic there, isn't it? Now, I recently watched Armored Panzer's video on rigged matchmaking, so check that out. I'll put the link in the description, how matchmaking is rigged in Mad Games. So, I thought, well, if they're doing that, what else are they doing to actively kill their game? And that they are doing this is obvious. But before we go into that, I'm going to show you evidence of how Wargaming has done that before. Because there is another game called World of Tanks PC, and that game is coincidentally 4 years older than World of Tanks Blitz, so how did they do it with that one? Let's check that out real quick. Let's look at this site, WoT News statistics for the EU server here. There's a total of 23 million players. As you can see, the number of registrations has been stagnant ever since 2014, so there's not much of moving going on there. So the amount of new players coming in is not a lot. However, if you look at here, the number of players that played per week, if you compare 2017, 825,000 for example here in August 21st, and you compare at the end of August, it's only 600,000, so it's 200,000 less, even though 2020 was the year of pandemic, and a lot more people had the chance and the time to play than they had, for example, in 2017. So why is this game losing players like that? Obviously, let's factor in that a lot of people get bored of the game, they stop playing the game because it's not interesting anymore because they have everything already done, like me and Blitz, for example. But what also happens is that they are putting in a lot of factors that are actively making the game worse, like, for example, new premium tanks like the Borask, like the Renegade, and they're also putting in tanks like the Object 268 version 4, which are completely broken, and the Donkerer, among other things, and the 279E2. Now, what this game doesn't have, that Blitz does have, is Blitz does have an excess of crates. It has an excess of offers that you can buy with gold boosters, all that kind of stuff. Wargaming doesn't push it into your face like that. It's more hidden away in a shop. One very massive difference is that World of Tanks PC does not offer Tier 10s as premiums. You can't buy Tier 10s in this game. You can buy Tier 10s for money in World Tanks Blitz. That is a very, very big problem, but let's talk about everything in detail, and let's get back into Blitz. So obviously the first problem that I already hinted at, which is one of many. I'm going to get to all the pay-to-win stuff and all that kind of stuff later, so stay tuned. Also, don't forget to press those buttons down there. But anyway, one of the biggest problems, obviously, is the Tier 10 premium tanks, mainly, at the moment, the VK90, the T22, and the MXM454, because they are the strongest. But that just shows a willingness of Wargaming to just simply not give a shit about free-to-play players and just milk the game as much as they can. Because, for example, if you look at stuff like the T4E2 as well, if you look at like Scorpion G, they're just substantially better than their non-premium counterparts. So Wargaming does not give a shit about balance in the name of making money. And obviously, if the game is imbalanced, then it is not fun. And also, one other thing that adds to this imbalance is that most heavy tanks are better than medium tanks. Like, for example, the E5 is way better than the Patton. Also, the E5 is the best, so there is that. T32, even though it is shit, it is still way better than the Pershing, and one of the most prominent examples right here is the Tiger 2 and the Panther 2. So, let's compare those two real quick. Tiger 2 is performing 2% better than the Panther, which tells us that Wargaming favors heavy tanks, and that players also favor heavy tanks, and that's why Wargaming decided to overbuff them, to make heavy tanks better, to make those people that play heavy tanks, which is mostly worse players, because the Tiger line is pretty much the line that people that never heard of tanks before go for, because they at least know the Tiger 1. They go for that line. But with this being one of the most prominent beginner tanks in the game, it still performs at 51% win rate. With 8,000 players, which is substantially more than the Panther 2. So there is an oversaturation of heavy tanks in the game. For example, if I go on a T125, and you can see there's 99 heavy tanks, there's less mediums, less light tanks, less tank destroyers. And that's pretty much a thing that goes all the way through. There's always more heavy tanks, light tanks, especially also in fun modes, like in skirmish. Oversaturation of heavy tanks. Gravity mode, oversaturation of heavy tanks. There's always more heavy tanks in these modes, which shifts the bias towards tanks that are easier to play. Because, and this is where we're going to pick up after this game, so stay tuned. Wargaming has rigged the game in favor of bad players. Now, let's play this game and let's do a live test here. Obviously, this is one game, so it's not representing at all. But let's try to go through it anyway. Let's try to find out what we can see from this battle. I'm in a heavy tank, obviously. There is 3 heavy tanks on each side, 1 medium, 2 tank destroyers, and 1 light tank, which is fairly common matchmaking these days, which is most of the time how the teams are built up. You see it very rarely that you have 3 or 4 medium tanks in one team. That is pretty rare, which is obviously by design, because heavy tanks are better at everything. Heavy tanks are better, heavy tanks are easier, but it doesn't mean that heavy tank players are smarter, as you can see with that AV215B as a perfect example right there. Now, what am I trying to prove in this battle? We can see here that the T-125 isn't really paying much of attention. He's just shooting heat at my turret. Obviously, I'm not a bad player in any way. I'm not a good player either, but I know what I'm doing in a certain way. And, yeah. As you can see, he is clearly mad at me because he is unable to penetrate my tank, while I am able to penetrate his, because obviously I can aim. Obviously, but the E5 has a very, very tiny cupola, so yeah, if you can't hit it, then that is fine. 57 is mad, so you also have a lot of angry players in this game, and this battle is over in like 2 minutes. It is already over, and the 268 is toxic as well. And this is in no way a unique game right here. This is very, very common that games like this happen, where one team just completely trucks the other one. It's also a thing in World Tanks PC. It's very, very common that you have like 15 threes, 15 fives, stuff like that in 3-4 minutes. So that is very, very common. The games are very one-sided. So this is in no way an outlier. But yeah, bouncing off a backside is of course normal as well. So I'll check the let's check the players after this game and find out what we can see here. Yeah, that's that. I didn't do the best, obviously, because my team carried. So you can see here, good player, 60%. Good player, 58. Good player, 61. Good player, 59. Good player, 51. Average player, 50. Enemy team, 56. Worse than our top, 43. Bad. 47. Horrible. 45. 48. 50. 56. We have a substantially better team on our side. Like, it is just designed to win. Look at that, 15,000 to 3,000. The enemy team never had a chance. Now, obviously, this is an outlier, and it could be just a statistical anomaly, but as Ahmed Pans proved in his video, that there is matchmaking going on in Mad Games. So, now, this is rigged against bad players, which is weird, but anyway. Let's just let that stand as a statistical anomaly, because I can't prove that it's the norm. Alright, I just pressed the record button, and look what popped up right after the E5 game. Yeah, like, what the fuck, man? Come on, you can't be serious about this now, can you? This offer, look at that. I could spend 110, 140, 160, and 270 euros or more on this bundle right here. Just like that, 270 euros. They're slapping me 270 euros full of packets in the face right here as an offer. Also, you have the M41D, which is 28 euros for a tier 7, which is stupid. And then obviously you have this packet, which is designed to make you buy it. It says minus 40%, but it really isn't, because the tank is overvalued. This is a common sales strategy here. You make the standard package overvalued, so this package seems more attractive. But don't forget, you're buying a tier 7 with the value of about 5 to 10 euros. Because the Type 62 in the store is right now available for 3,000 gold. So this is just bullshit. Wargaming is milking the game as much as they can, and that is what's killing it. It took a long time to get that point now, didn't it? But it has to be said. Wargaming is killing the game by milking the shit out of it. As you can see on my channel, I'm basically doing a crate unboxing video every fucking week now, because there is new crates every week. I know other YouTubers doing it because they just decide to ignore it. But I think that it should be talked about. Because if you just go there and you say, oh, crate's bad, then the majority of people are going to believe you, obviously. And those people wouldn't spend their money on crates anyway, you know, because they're intelligent. But then the people that would buy these containers, they're not going to believe you unless you show them that they're stupid. And that is exactly what these crates are aimed at, you know? Like, for example, 10 containers, or 14 rather in this bundle, but you buy 10. You get 4 for free. You buy 10. So fuck the 4. You buy 10 for 15,000 gold, and your drop chance is 10%. So you're not even remotely guaranteed a tank. You might get one, but you probably won't. Sure, there is these people out there that got 6, 7, 8 tanks, something like that. But that is obviously luck. Just because you see someone else getting something doesn't mean you get something as well. But I explained that already. Let's not get into the crates any further. As you can see, the shop is filled with shit. There's these containers. There's stuff like the M6 on offer. There's a T95, which are... And then you go over here, you have the bundles, you have the subscriptions, you have the research, you have the Chinese invasion containers still there as well. And you have all sorts of... So if that's not enough, then you still have the offers. And you could still spend 270 euros on this offers right here. So, you can clearly see how Wargaming is in the milking phase at this point. They're trying to milk as much money out of the game as they possibly can. Which is killing the game, obviously, because if you focus on money, you reduce gameplay. Which is more than obvious. And also when you have events going on like this one, for example, which is just a carbon copy of the Corn event, which with a different background picture, which is like, wow. Which has completely just became worse than, for example, the Dracula event or the RS3 Defender event that had been going on 3-4 years ago, where you could get these tanks for free. For example, I got the RS3 Defender for free, I got the Dracula for free. So you can't do that anymore, you can't get those tanks anymore. Because Wargaming is so focused on making money, and one of those perfect examples of that is just the Smasher. Look at this thing. It is broken to hell. Wargaming still decides to put it out there. I wouldn't be at all surprised if they decide to put out the Kenny Otsu at one point again. Even though they said they wouldn't. I mean, they also said they're never going to sell the E25 #1 camo again, and they did. And everyone forgot about that, apparently. And also, one thing that everyone else forgot about is also the timers. You remember? When the new equipment system came into the game, what happened is you couldn't equip these just like now. You couldn't just press the button and it unlocks. What you had to do is you press the button and then you have to wait for it to unlock, which took hours, if not days, at tier 10. I don't exactly remember the figures, so I can't tell you, but I think it took almost a month to get a tier 10 fully equipped without paying gold. Obviously that change got reverted after, I don't know, a few months or a year, I think, because everyone just rioted because it was stupid. But you can see that Wargaming has a clear tendency of trying to favor monetary value over gameplay. Which is killing the game, obviously, because if the game's not fun to play, a lot of people are going to leave the game, because if it's not fun to play, why would you play it? And that leaves me to the last point of why Wargaming is killing World of Tanks Blitz. It allows stupid players to flourish. As I said before, with a heavy tank buff, heavy tanks are better than medium tanks. Heavy tanks are tanks that bad players tend to play more, that are easier to play. That's why I, for example, recommend you to get the T125 first, because it's a nice line, it just works, so get that line. Also, what happened with update 5.5 is that they removed a lot of the low-tier vehicles. Like, for example, if you don't know that, but if you've been in the game for not too long, then Wargaming removed a lot of the low-tier vehicles. You know, for example, if I go down to the Americans here, American collectors, lobby, See how many tanks Wargaming actually removed. Like, that is a lot of tanks in the low tier that people should have played to become better at the game. But they removed them. Why? The faster you break people to tier 5, the faster they have to research new modules, the faster they're inspired to spend money, because why would you want to play with a gun like this when you could have a top gun like this? You know, as you can see, like 1700 DPM, 1300 DPM. Yeah, I mean, you know, why would you want to play that gun? Why, you're just gonna spend gold on it, right? Or when you play the T20, you have this gun. But you want to have that, but you don't even need the gun to research the tank, so you're just going to spend gold to get the gun, right? Which makes a lot of free-to-play players pay. Because free-to-play is a pain, and that's why I don't have a free-to-play account, because I can't be bothered torturing myself. Which is obviously... I mean, obviously... Let's stop the rant for a second here. Obviously, Wargaming needs to monetize that game. Out of the all the people that play this game, I think... there's roughly 10% of players that actually spend money on the game. So they have to try to make as much as they can off those players to keep the stuff running and to make some kind of profit. But why would you be that into milking it? You know, like with new crates every week, with overpowered premium tanks like the Smasher, with like the T22, which is just better, which just overpowers anything else. Then again, there are still tanks like this, but with what we see with the VK90 and the MXM454, that they show a clear tendency to not give a shit about the game. Obviously, they did slow down a bit with the recent introductions of the STG and the ML1951, which are worse than regular tech tree vehicles, but they already introduced tanks like the T54E2, like the MXM449, which are just better. Like, why would you want to play a T34, T32 rather, when you can play the T54E2? Why would you? You won't. You're not going to. And this is exactly what's happening to WoT Tanks PC as well. They're milking the game by decreasing game enjoyment for good players, by forcing bad players to pay, and by making them want to pay by rigging things like Mad Games. And that's what's killing WoT Tanks Blitz. And I mean, I wouldn't say that I'm too against that. I mean, whatever happens, happens. If it dies, it dies, I guess. And I'm not gonna actively try to save a game from a company that is this greedy, you know, because obviously if the game keeps going on, then they keep making money. So if the game does die, I'm not going to make an effort to revive it. I'm just going to play CSGO on Twitch, so follow. Because even though Valve is dumb, they're not as dumb as this. And yeah. Also, another thing that I haven't talked about yet is the battle passes. There's a battle pass every month now, which is also a steady source of income. You know, you have $5.50 for the battle pass, which is actually a pretty good deal. I mean, no accusations here. The battle pass is a great deal. The battle pass is indeed a great deal, but it keeps people playing. It has 3 good impacts on the game. You pay for the battle pass, you play the game, because you have to play the game every day to get the rewards, and if you play the game every day, you play more, you research more, and if you buy the battle pass, why wouldn't you, for example, also want to buy something like this resource package, which is a pretty good deal? Why would you not want to buy a crate and try your luck? You know, why would you not want to buy, for example, one of these ridiculously stupid offers that gives you no value for anything? I mean, obviously it says discounted, but fuck them, no. Like, for example, if you're grinding a lot of tanks and 170 times 5 boosters, this can be a great deal for you. You're gonna go for that, right? Because you don't want to spend all that time having to play a stock tank and having to grind. You're just gonna get the times 5 booster, you play 5 battles, and you're not stock anymore, and then boom, you have the next tank. Like, obviously that is good for your progress, but it's also good for Wargaming's pocket. But if you're a bad player, that is bad for everyone else, because even though you have fast progress, you have no clue of how to play the game, and you just ruin the game experience for everyone else. And so, in conclusion, because Wargaming is a bunch of greedy cunts, they're decided to put monetary gain over gameplay experience, and therefore, because gameplay experience is pretty much the only thing that keeps people playing, not wanting to spend money doesn't keep you play a game. And if the gameplay experience continues to get worse, if the matchmaking continues to get worse, because it's more filled up with bad players that don't have a good tutorial system, that get pushed up to tier 10 as fast as possible, that don't have any clue what they're doing, that maybe don't even want to play well, because obviously it's okay to suck as long as you're willing to improve, and you don't need to be a good player, but if you don't carry your own weight, you may have fun yourself, but you ruin the fun of 6 other people, so you're -5. So that is very, very bad, and if the gameplay experience keeps deteriorating like that, then Wargaming's greed will eventually kill this game, because it's not dying anytime soon, but the process of dying is already started. And as you can see in World Tanks PC, it's pretty much impossible to revert it. And with that horrible disappointment, that is it. Thank you very much for watching. See you in the next one. Goodbye.